Okay, welcome guys. It is Finance Friday. We are here again. Good to see everybody. If you're on Facebook, good to see you. If you're on Zoom, good to see you. My name is Jerry Fetta. I'm the owner, founder, CEO of a company called Wealth Dynamics. And I do these courses every Friday night. And I'm excited for you guys to join me tonight because tonight's topic is going to be very, very fun to cover. And it's how to gain passive income, right? And so before I jump into this, there's a couple of things that I cover every week just as ground rules. Things that we go over every single time. So the first thing is I want you to have a purpose and reason for being here, right? So if you're on Facebook right now, if you're on Zoom, if you're watching the replay, whether that's on our email list, whether that's on our YouTube channel, have a reason picked out for being here, right? Like if you don't know why you're going to learn something, there's no reason to watch it. There's no reason to learn it. And you're not going to apply the information. So anytime I learn something, anytime I go in to try and learn something, that's the first thing I figure out is, okay, why am I here? Right? What am I trying to get from this? And if I don't have that answer, then I know I need to come up with that quickly. So if you haven't done that yet, think of that reason. Make sure you have that first. Okay. Second thing is I want to make sure that we're all on the same page that, we're going to talk about finances tonight. That's going to be the main focus. That's always the main focus. But this is a topic that is understandable, right? It's not this confusing, convoluted thing that it's made out to be. When we think about finances, a lot of people, when I tell them about finances, they're like, oh, no, I never understand those. Okay. And there's a reason for that. Sometimes things are confused on purpose because it's easier for us to not understand, right? Other people, they want us to be confused. And sometimes we prefer it because we don't want the responsibility of having to learn it and apply it ourselves, right? So I want to strip that away first. Okay. Finances, it comes down to two things. Okay. Two things: basic arithmetic. Can you add, subtract, multiply, divide? And then the ability to look up words. Okay. If you can do those two things, you're set. You can learn anything you want to learn about finances, right? But if I'm confused about what this is, and I'm like, okay, well, it's confusing and there's all these big words and it's tough and it's difficult and it's for sophisticated people, and I have all those beliefs, it's going to be very tough for me to be able to learn anything tonight, right? Not just tonight, but about finances in period. Okay. So I want you to think about, okay, how can I make this understandable and applicable in my own life? And then the second thing is getting rid of the idea that we know it all. Okay, we live in the age of easy information. Okay, I specifically say information, not education, because it's not education. You go on a 15-second TikTok video, you didn't get educated, you just got info. Okay, I want you to adopt this if you're willing to. Education is represented by results. Therefore, if I don't have results, I lack education. Doesn't matter how many videos I watched, doesn't matter how many books I read, it doesn't matter how many courses I went to. If I can't do the thing I learned about, I didn't learn it. Right? Like think about it. If you go to a college and they say, hey, you're going to learn how to be an engineer, and then you leave that school and you do not know how to do engineering, what did you learn? Like, what did you pay for? Okay, this is what's happening all across the country right now. When I was a personal trainer, right, I would see obese personal trainers, and it's like they studied, they passed the certification. Some of them had more acumen than I had, but they're out of shape. Where's the results? It would be the equivalent of me talking to you about finances and I'm broke, right? Think about that. You would be like, okay, there's something isn't right. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't have the results. So I want to make sure that's my viewpoint with myself. So as I'm learning, if I'm one of you tonight, if I'm here watching, if I'm watching the replay, I'm looking at, okay, where am I lacking results? And I need to go learn in that area. Okay. Now, the other thing too, this is my own personal rule, is when I learn something, I apply it instantly. I have the personal rule, and it's totally arbitrary, meaning it's made up. It's not real, but it helps me. It's an urgency thing. When I learn something, if I don't try and apply it within 24 hours, I actually pretend like the knowledge is gone. I'm never going to see it again. Right? So it's instant. I've got to learn and I've got to apply now. Okay. So the reason I cover all that is so that we can set the ground for learning tonight, right? Now, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about the blueprints of financial freedom. We're going to be talking about passive income, specifically how to go from zero in passive income to having passive income, and then taking it to whatever level you want. So if you're watching right now, this is my book. It's called Blueprints of Financial Freedom, right? Blueprints of Financial Freedom by Jerry Fetta. That's me. And if you don't have a copy of this, I want to invite you to get one. You can reach out to Nano Aquino in the comments. He can get you set up with that. You can also go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. Okay, that's going to give you the book free. You just cover the shipping and handling. Ian or Ian bought that earlier. Awesome. Great to hear that. So this is going to give you a taste of what we're talking about tonight with a lot more. right? The ability to apply the information. We actually give you a coaching call. So when you buy the book, you actually get a call with our team, and we're going to walk you through and answer your questions, right? So if you're watching tonight and you're not a client, this is really just like you're getting a sample. Okay, we're not going to cover everything tonight. We're going to cover enough for you to say, okay, this makes sense, and this is what I've been looking for, and I want help from Wealth Dynamics with my finances. That's the goal and the intention tonight. Okay. Now, if you're a current client watching, my goal 100% is for you to be making more progress on your blueprint. Okay. Everyone has a financial blueprint, whether they know it or not. This applies to them, whether they're aware of it or not. And so it comes down to, okay, well, how aware am I? How much responsibility am I willing to take? And then going into it and saying, okay, where am I going to next? What's my next step from here? And making that progress quickly. So if you're a client and you're watching and you're like, okay, I want to be going faster on my blueprints, I want you to reach out to our team. Again, contact Nano in the comments. And just let them know, hey, I want to move faster. I want to be making more progress than I am. Okay. And it doesn't even mean you're slow. It means, maybe you're already really fast and you're like me, you want to go faster. Okay. Now, tonight's topic is one of my favorites. It's how do we build passive income? Okay. Now, before we talk about this, we need to define what is passive income, right? So passive income, I'm going to go ahead and draw this out for you guys. Passive income looks like this. We have scales, right? So over here, we have passive. And over here, we have active. Right? And so there's really actually no such thing as passive income, like truly speaking. There are varying degrees of it. So this would be like our midpoint. And I've talked about this before, but we have a little bit more passive, a little bit more passive. And the further we get over to this side, the more passive the income is, meaning it takes less and less of our time, right? So, if we're looking at what is passive income that we earn that requires less time or less effort. Okay. And then we look at the opposite side. Okay. What is active income? Active income would be, again, varying degrees. It's a little more active, It's full on active. Over here, we're doing like road construction and swinging hammers, right? So more time. Okay. And the other one would be more effort. Right. So this is really what we're looking at is like, and I want to start this. Neither of these is good or bad. Money is amoral. So you're going to see people that say, active income is the devil. You should never have it. Okay, well, you need active income, right? Whoever's saying that is stupid or trying to sell you something, right? Active income is important. I have active income, right? Passive income is also important. It's like saying, like you need meat, not veggies, or you need veggies, not meat. Well, what if you need both? Right? Like, oh, you need food, not water, or you need water, not food. What if you had both, right? So there's a balance here. So as we're looking at this, what I want to bring up first is why active income, why passive income? What's the time and what's the place for each of these? Okay. Now, active income means we're trading more time, more effort for it. But here's the difference. With active income, usually that's going to come in more like higher volumes and quantities. And there's also more speed behind it. So here's an example of this. Okay. If I'm a salesperson and I say, okay, this month I want to go make $50,000. Okay. There's potential, depending on where I work, that I could do that in one sale. Right. And it might take, hundreds and hundreds of phone calls and appointments and meetings and whatnot, but I could make that happen. Okay. Now, if I were to say, okay, well, I want $100,000 in passive income, check the math out on this, right? $100,000 this month in passive income. If I'm making 12% on my investments, that would mean that I need to have $10 million invested. Okay, $10 million invested at 12%, that's going to pay me my 100 grand. So let me ask you this, which one is easier to get 100 grand from? Okay, short term, definitely the active income, right? And this is why I say, like, there's nothing wrong with it. When you hear people say, like, oh, you should never have active income, you should never trade time for money. You can't get active or passive income without getting the active first, right? Like, think about this. Where am I going to get the 10 million from? If I was trying to get $100,000 a month in passive income, where am I going to get that from? To, as far as terms of investment capital and all of that, I've got to earn it somehow. Okay. Now you might even be like, oh, well, you know, what about borrowing and other people's money? That's not passive. You've ever been to a bank, you wait in line, you fill out the paperwork, they go through all your stuff, all your taxes, all your everything. That's not a passive cycle. And that's a sale. It's just a sale you don't get to keep the money from. You've got to give it back to them at some point. Right? Like we have to, that's why I say get rid of the terminology. Oh, I got a loan from a bank. No. You sold them on giving you money that you're going to give back later. Doesn't matter what you call it. Okay. I could take the same time, same energy, and I could sell, you know, a prospect if I'm the salesperson on giving me money that I don't have to give back to them. Again, neither one of those is right or wrong. It's just that's the cycle. That's the flow. Okay. So active income is where it starts. And so when I'm looking at this active income, like I said, it's going to give me more income in greater quantities. It's going to give me more income faster, but I do have to trade time and energy and all these different things for it. Okay. It doesn't make it bad. Just means that that's how it is. Right. Now, here's the thing, like short term, if I do that, and you do need to do that, earn the active income, if I do that, it's going to build up and build up and build up and build up. Right. And then I'm going to be in a position where at some point I'm going to say, okay, I'm really tired of doing this. If I'm doing construction, my body's going to wear down. Okay. If I'm in sales, some point I'm going to be like, I'm tired of selling. If I'm a business owner, at some point I'm going to be like, man, you know, I don't want to run this business like this anymore. I want other people to do it for me. And that's where the passive income becomes attractive. Okay. Now it takes time to build it up. I've got to earn. Okay. This is the triangle of wealth. We talk about this with our clients all the time. Okay. So I've got to do 3 things here. Earn. If my pen will work. Save. And invest. Okay. Earning is active income. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. I've got to trade time for dollars. I've got to trade a skill set for dollars. I've got to trade something, right, in order to get the active income. So I'm earning. And then when I earn it, I've got to save it. Right. You might be watching this. You're like, this is basic, like super simple. No. I'm telling you, this is everything. This is the most profound thing you're ever going to learn about finances. Because if you actually see this and actually do it, it's a game changer. So I earn, right? Then I save. Then I invest. What do I invest for? I invest for, like I just said, passive income. Okay, what does this do for me though? Because I need to go back around and I need to earn again. So I'm going to keep earning my active income here. But now I've also got this passive flow supplementing it. It's adding to it, right? So I keep earning at the same active rate or greater. Hopefully it's greater. And also now I have this new passive income. Okay, guess what I'm going to do with this? I'm going to save even more. Okay, now what happens? I can invest more dollars sooner, and I'm going to invest them again for passive income. And then the same thing happens, right? So now I'm earning the active. I have 1 passive already, 1 passive. And then basically I have another one. I've got the second one now. Now I've got a second one. I add another one, right? So that's another 1P. And I have the active income still happening too. Hopefully I'm bumping that up as I go. Right. And it turns into this snowball. It starts compounding and building and compounding and building and compounding and building. And all of a sudden, we get to a point where we've got a lot of passive income. Okay. We might even get to a point where we have more passive income than active income. Okay. And that's where you can start looking at, wow, I don't have to trade time for money anymore. Okay. Now, the great thing with this is you don't have to, but I want you to make sure like you have a reason to not. Okay. Because if your reason is like, oh, I just want to have, you know, like sheer laziness in my life, you're probably going to get sick and die at an early age. I'm going to be totally upfront with you. You're going to probably be, you know, 60 something years old, and that's going to be the extent of life because you don't have anything to do. Right. So just because you have passive income doesn't mean you're not active in lifestyle. You need to have that picked out as well. Right. So I had this realization many years back for myself where I was like, okay, I don't want to just build it and become financially independent where I don't have to trade time for money anymore. And I do have passive income and then have no reason to wake up in the morning. I'm not contributing to society. I'm not helping anybody. I'm not bettering anybody. For me as a business owner and as a coach, that's not what I'm going to help someone do. That's actually not good for them. And that's not actually good for their family, for the people around them, for their community, or for society, right? That's what a bank does. Like we talk about building wealth like a bank, which is great. Their strategies are awesome. We don't want you to actually be one. Right? Like take people's money with no exchange and just earn interest and do nothing but just take in more money. There's no value there. You're not helping people. Like you're like, there's no purpose. And so then it turns into this thing of like, okay, if you're really ambitious, that's where you start doing unethical stuff, right? If you have no purpose, right? And you're like, oh, I just want to make as much money as possible. Great. Pablo Escobar did that. He's super ambitious. Like where's the line on this thing, right? If you're not super ambitious, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to get there and then I'm going to sleep in every day and I'm going to watch the news all afternoon and go to the beach and watch, go to the movies. There was a guy when I was brand new in the industry, he had built a giant business, multi-million-dollar company. And so he was actually talking about his daily schedule one day, right? And he's like, okay, well, I wake up whenever I want to. I spend most of the day golfing. I go out to I go have lunch with my friends at a restaurant. And then every night I go watch a movie. Okay, I go to the movie theater and I watch a movie. And I remember thinking, this was when I was 18, 19 years old. That sounds boring as hell. Like you're gonna run out of movies like very quickly. If you're going to the theater every single night, there's not that many good movies out there. And I remember thinking about that and I was like, I don't want that lifestyle. I want to make sure that I'm still doing something. Okay. So have that figured out first. And you don't have to have it super clear where you're like, this is exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, but have a purpose, have a bigger goal. And then the passive income is just a method of helping you get there. Okay. Now you might even be in a position where you're like, well, my business is my purpose and my bigger goal. I'm still building passive income because I want the freedom it provides. Okay. I'm probably still always going to be involved in this business. Okay. That's not something I'm ever going to not do because that's much deeper for me than just finances. That's my way of helping. It's my way of making an impact in the world. But I still want the passive income and I still want the freedom that the passive income provides. And it puts me in a position as a business owner where I don't need to take profit out of a company if I've got passive income like this. I can reinvest it and expand and help more people. You see what I mean there? So all of that kind of lays the groundwork for what we're going to dive into. Okay, and what we're going to talk about tonight is how do we get there, right? Where do we start? And so the first thing that we need to look at is, okay, we've done the triangle of wealth and we're working on the passive income thing. Let's say we've got some money. Where do we go for it? Where do we go if we have the finances? We've got the capital built up. Okay, so this is where we talk about the blueprint of financial freedom. Okay, I was talking to a guy the other day and he's like, one of the things I loved about this book, this was him saying this, he said it finally gave me the sequence. Step by step by step, here's what you do. Okay, because everyone else talks about the what. They're like, okay, what are some things you could do? Okay, you could do rental properties. Valid. Okay, so you could do some rentals. Okay, what else could you do? You could do private equity where you go buy companies. Okay, I talked to a guy the other day that says this is what he does, right? So private equity. Okay, that's also a valid way to invest. Okay, what else? You could do lending, right? You could loan money out, earn interest that way. That's another valid thing to do. What else could you do? You could start your own business. Okay, you could do oil and gas drilling. Like there's tons of different ways to earn passive income, right? Okay, I've even seen ways where you can earn passive income with crypto. I think they're bullshit and bad idea, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on there because it is something you could do. So we look at this and then people are like, oh, the wealthy do this one, or the wealthy do this one, or the wealthy do this one, or they do this one, or they do this one, or they do this one, right? And we look at this and it's like, okay, well, which one do I do? Okay, because at the end of the day, most people aren't going to walk me through this, right? So I need to figure out what am I going to do? How do I get started, right? And so here's where you would start with this. The first thing I would look at is do I have consumer debt? Okay, if I have consumer debt, that's my first investment outside of myself, right? My first actual investment is going to be increasing my active income. Okay, if I'm not doing that, I don't need the rental property. I don't need to be doing private lending. You know why? Because if I take $100,000, and that's if I even get there, right? If I take $100,000 and I put this away at 12%, that's going to pay me $1,000 a month. That's not life-changing, right? Like I'm not wealthy. I'm not in a position where I'm financially independent. I need to go do more of this. The other thing is, it's going to take me a while to get my 100,000 back with $1,000 a month coming in. So my ability to earn the active income, if we go back to our triangle of wealth here, my ability to earn the active income becomes even more important. See what I mean? Because now if I did this correctly and I earned and I saved and I invested, my 100K is for all intents and purposes gone. I don't have that anymore. I put that into an investment. I put that into, a real estate or a private lending or whatever it might be on that whole list we just came up with, but it's gone now. Is it paying me income? Sure, but it's not money that I can go have tomorrow. So my necessity to go build that 100,000 up a second time through earning and saving, and this little bit of income that I have from the investing supplementing my earning becomes even higher. Right? This is where people get stalled out. I've seen this time after time after time. People are like, oh, I want to do rental properties. It's like, cool. So they save up $50,000 and they go buy their first rental property. Okay. And then they realize that they're going to make $500 a month and it's going to take forever for them to get their money. And then they're trying to figure out, how do I get into the lowest down payment loan program I possibly can to get the next property sooner, to solve the problem of the fact that they don't earn and save and invest enough money. Right? So we don't want to do that. We want to solve that problem from the get-go. So if I'm looking at this and I'm like, I want passive income, my first investment is in myself and my ability to earn active income. Okay. Now, once I'm doing that, then I'm going over to the side of, okay, do I have consumer debt? Okay. This is one that isn't sexy to talk about, right? Like if I look at this and I say, okay, I've got 50 grand. Do I invest it? Do I pay off debt? Paying off debt is not the thing that's exciting for most people, right? Like you might even be like, oh, this sounds like the Dave Ramsey plan. Like, why would I pay off my debt? I should invest it and keep the debt and let the debt pay for itself. That's all fine and dandy till you do it. And then you're the one that has to manage that, right? All this stuff sounds really, really good on a video until it's plugged into your actual life. And you're like, oh, okay, now I have this investment with this LLC and I've got new tax forms. I've still got this loan over here that's charging me interest. And now I've got to service that and pay that. And it's like, okay, cool. How many of those do you want? It's the game of how many cards can you stack up, right? So let me just show you some quick math on this. Okay, you guys will see fast. I'm all about the math here. Right. So if I have, again, let's say $50,000. And I'm like, okay, do I invest this money or do I pay off debt? Over here, we have invest. And over here, we have debt. Right. I want you to think about this. If I invest this at 12%, I keep saying 12 because that's probably about what you're going to get. This is, again, a $500 a month payment. Okay. Now, if I go over here with the debt, let's say that this is, a car loan, for example. So if I go to a loan calculator and I put in 50,000 and I say that my interest rate's 4% and I have a loan over 6 years. Okay. This loan costs me $786 a month. Basic math. Does this pay for this? No, it doesn't. Right? So if I wanted to pay for this, I would actually have to invest more than I had in debt in order to have just the payment cover a complete liability. Right? Like this doesn't help me whatsoever with my finances. Right? It basically is like I'm running in place, making no progress. That's what this is. Okay. Now the other thing is, okay, well, what if I took the 50,000 and I just paid off the debt and now I free up $786 a month? $786 a month is more than $500 a month. I would rather have the 786. Okay. Now here's the problem that most people look at with debt. Then they realize this with debt, not with investing, but it's the same. When I pay off the debt, the 50 is gone, right? 50,000 is gone. So this is where I tag this to the sacred account. Okay. I'm going to put the 50 in here first. This is going to grow at 3 to 5%. Tax-free, safest place I can put my money. I'm going to borrow against it. My cost of borrowing is 1 to 3%. Still earning the 3 to 5 even while I borrow it. And then I'm going to pay off my debt here, take the 786 and pay myself back. So I'm saving on the interest here. I'm earning on the interest here. And then I'm writing this off on my taxes. And I've still got the 50 growing like it never left. Right? That's even better. Okay, now here's the thing. I can do this with the investment. See, same problem happens. I put 50,000 into an investment. That 50,000 is now gone, meaning I can't have it. It's in that investment. It's 100% dependent on how the investment does. But let's say I do the same thing. I tag it here first into the sacred account. Okay. 50,000 is now growing at 3 to 5. I borrow at a 1 to 3% cost. And then I go put this into a deal that's making me $500 a month. I go pay myself back with this. I now am making money here on the investment and also here on the sacred account because that 50 is growing like it never left. Right? Like these are the things that we have to think about. Okay. So part of investing is investing in even knowing what this is, right? Learning about finances, right? Like if I don't know this, I can't do it. That's literally the only difference, guys. Like the biggest mistakes that I have ever made with my finances, do you know what I commonly have always said at the end of it? Oh, I didn't know that. Or I wish I would have known that. Right? Or, I knew that, but I forgot it. It always has to do with knowledge. Right? The best ideas I've ever had, the best financial investments and systems I've ever gotten into was strictly because of the knowledge. Okay. Like you guys don't need me to tell you this, but the world is not full of Jerry Fettas that are out here telling you what you should do with your finances and giving you real applicable information. So the chances that somebody's going to be like, hey, like randomly throughout my day, I need to tell you about how you can use life insurance to become your own bank and pay off your debt and still make money on it like a bank does. That's never going to happen. Right? Like maybe at some point when we get enough clients where it's a critical mass and people literally are having those kind of conversations in the airport, maybe then it'll happen. But right now that's not going to happen. Meaning if I don't invest time, money, energy in learning about finances, realizing I don't know it all based on my results and learning about the finances, then I'm never going to come across this information. And I'm not going to be able to apply it. And then when someone finally tells me, I'm going to say, oh, I wish I knew that. Right? Like the common thing that I hear when I talk to people that are in their, 40s, 50s, whatnot, is I wish I would have learned this sooner. Right. And I hear this so many times because, the thing is this works more and more over time. Right. As much as we want things to go fast, and this is a faster plan than put everything in a retirement account, turn 60 and hope you die before the money runs out. This is faster than that for sure. But this also gets better and better with time, as long as I keep up the same behaviors. Right. And so I want to look at this and I want to say, okay, I'm going to do this now. It's the 5-year exit plan. It's the 10-year exit plan, whatever it is. And also I'm going to keep doing it after. And that's where I have to keep learning. I have to keep gaining new knowledge. There's always more. Like the blueprint here. Okay. We have this broken down where there's 6 main phases you follow. Each one of these requires a new level of knowledge, right? Like what I know at phase 0 isn't going to work on phase 6, right? This is what people don't tell us about finances. We're told, give it to Wall Street, put it in a retirement account, do whatever. And it's the same vanilla plan for everybody, no matter what age you are. All you have to do is change the type of mutual funds you put it in, right? Well, that's not how it works. What somebody knows when they're an accredited investor is different than what somebody knows when they're not. What I know now is different than what I knew 10 years ago when I actually was a financial advisor selling that stuff, right? You could talk to someone that, we had Ivan Ans on here a couple of weeks ago. He owns a gigantic family office. What that guy knows and applies in his day-to-day life is way different than somebody that doesn't have that. So the knowledge never stops. And that's how we gain the insight on how to invest. Had another conversation with someone today. Okay. I'm going to share with you guys a couple more things. Okay. So another conversation I had today, somebody that was like, okay, I've got the money to invest, but he's chasing returns. Okay, what do I mean by chasing returns? Chasing returns means that he's literally like, he's got no commitment to anything other than, can I get the highest rate of return possible? Okay, now here's the thing, rates of return are never guaranteed. So when you're chasing returns, you're actually engaging with somebody that's saying, I'm going to give you more money, more than everybody else, right? Like as an investor, like you go into an investment fund and they're saying, we're going to pay you more than everybody else. In the investing world, that's a discount. You're shopping at Walmart in that moment, right? Like you're hanging in there like a thread on a biscuit, hoping this guy pays you. Okay. And what do I mean by it's a discount? When I go buy a car or a house or whatever, do I want somebody that's like, hey, I'm going to give you the cheapest possible price and I'm willing to beat everybody else just to get your money? No, I don't want that. That to me means I'm probably getting a scumbag deal. It's probably a garbage product and it's going to break or it's not any good. right? Versus I go to, like, let's say I'm going car shopping, I buy a Rolls Royce. Those aren't cheap. Are they the best car on the road? 100%. But I'm going to pay the value of that. So when I'm investing, good returns are great, but when somebody's abnormally higher, to me, that means it's a Walmart dirt lot discount investment, right? Like, they're so desperate for my money that they're willing to give me gigantic returns to get it back, right? And it doesn't mean they're good, and it doesn't mean they have a track record. Most of the time they don't. Most of the time, those are the deals you lose in, right? So chasing returns is an indicator of lack of knowledge. Okay, it's also an indicator of somebody hasn't been investing in themselves to increase their income. They haven't been actively increasing their active income, and they're looking for a shortcut. Guys, I'm telling you, there's not a shortcut here, right? Like, you earn, save, and invest. And outside of that, what can you do? You can speculate. Okay, that's not a shortcut. Look at the odds there. How many people did you know 2 years ago that thought they were going to be crypto billionaires, and you don't even hear from them anymore? They lost everything, right? Like, the number of those is way higher than the number of people that made money on it. Okay, you can also win it. Like, how many lottery winners do you know? And the ones that you know, how many do you know that repeated it? They did it a second time. Okay, it's not a scalable thing. It's not something we can all do. What about marrying it? Like, okay, well, we call that a gold digger. Okay, nobody's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go try and find money and marry it. That's not something that you can repeat, and it's not a good system, and it's obviously not a great way to be married, right? So these are all things we're looking at. You can try to inherit it. Hopefully, my great uncle or aunt or whoever dies and I get a bunch of money. Okay, cool. But again, you can't repeat that. And the odds of that happening, you can't cause that. That's all circumstance. That's victim. And it's happening to me. The only way for me to create it and create it at will is earn, save, and invest. Right? So we've talked about this so far. What I want to dive into next is the actual investing. Okay. So for me, I like to do secure private lending. And this is no secret. And I'll explain a little bit about these. I also like to do seller finance, real estate. Okay. Now, why do I like this? If we go back to the passive income thing, remember I said it's a gradient scale. On one side, we have, passive. On one side, we have active, right? And I want as passive as I possibly can. There's no such thing as absolutely passive. Even on secure private lending, I still have to read my escrow statement. I still have to file my taxes. I still have to fill out the letter of intent. I still have to look at the private placement memorandum. So there's some activity. Passive would mean I'm literally basically dead, and somehow the money still shows up and I do literally nothing. Okay. Same thing on seller finance. I still have to pick out which homes I like. I still have to fill out some forms, some paperwork. I still have to, approve things and sign off on things. But when I look at like the gradient scale of active to passive, lending is the most passive form of income I can find. Right? Where I don't have to do anything other than the things I mentioned. I don't have to be a landlord. I don't have to fix things. I don't have to do, any of the stuff that's usually involved in real estate. Okay. It's not like stock watching where I'm on a screen every day and I'm trying to pick things. That's also not passive. It's not like crypto where I've got to watch, 12 hours of YouTube videos from 6 different experts in order to figure out what the hell they're talking about. That's also not passive. Right. So when I'm doing secure private lending, I'm literally going to a fund. Okay. I'm loaning them my money in return for an interest rate. So I'm giving them dollars. They're going to pay me an interest rate. Okay. They're going to go invest that money in whatever they invested in. Every fund is different. Every fund is going to have its own investment protocol, business plan, etc. But this investment is going to produce income and profits and gains for the fund. And then they're going to use that to pay me as a lender. Right. Now, I might look at this and I'm like, well, why not just go do the investment myself? Right. So for me, that's not passive. Going around with a realtor looking at deals, that's not passive, right? Negotiating with people, that's not passive. Like one of my buddies, he does a ton of real estate. He's told me some stories where I'm like, dude, I would never do that. Walking into a house where the walls are covered with shit and the guy is crazy and you're negotiating face to face with them on the price you're going to pay for his house. No, like my time is worth more than that. There's no amount of money you could pay me to have an interaction with that guy. Right? So that's why I'm passive, because my time is so valuable. If my time is not valuable, by all means, go into the shit covered house and negotiate with the crazy guy. Okay. But my time is more valuable. So I don't want any part of that. I want to go focus on the things that I value, that produce my active income, that make me happy, that make me prosperous. And then I'm going to let my money just go get loaned out to a fund and produce and generate more and more income. And I'll just keep doing that. Right. Now, the other side is the seller finance real estate. This is where I buy a property. This is all third-party outsourced and managed, right? So I have a third party that picks it. You know, they find the person that's going to live there, but we seller finance it to the person that's living there, right? That means I'm the mortgage. So I buy the property, they move in, and I say, hey, this is your house now. You're going to make a mortgage payment to me for the next 15, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, right? I don't do anything because it's your house now. So if you break the furnace, that's on you. If you don't pay your bills, that's on you. If you don't cover your utilities and the lights get shut off, that's on you. That's your house now, right? I don't want anything to do with it because it's passive. That's as passive as I can get, right? So this is going to then produce my income. Same thing. They're not doing a loan like traditionally they're borrowing money, but they're borrowing property. They're living in the property with the intent that it's going to be theirs, right? And then they're paying me dollars this way. Okay. So these are all things that I look at as an investor. Now, I mentioned the sacred account concept. We can take cash and go into secure private lending. We're going to earn interest. We can take cash and go into seller finance real estate. We're going to earn interest. How do we beef this up? Right. And this is how we do this. We have a system called the 3-tier banking system. Right. So we have tier 1. We have tier 2. And we have tier 3. And this is super simple. This is the idea of buying a real store of value. So tier 1, this is life insurance. I talked about this a second ago. We tag it to the life insurance first, right? Tier 2, this is gold. And then tier 3, this is property, like real estate. Okay, so if I take, let's say I've got 100 grand here. And let's just look at the examples. If I have $100,000 and I go into this private lending fund, and let's say that they're paying me 12% for 5 years, right? That would mean that I'm going to make $1,000 a month times 60 months. And I have my initial 100,000 that I put into it, right? So I have, on this deal, I have 160 grand at the end of 5 years, right? At a 12% rate. Now, in this deal over here, if I buy, 100,000, that's probably 2 houses. Okay, that's going to be about $550 a month. So if I do that for 60 months on 2 houses, I've got about 66K, plus I still have the 100 in. So on this one, I have about 166,000. Right, a little bit more, but basically the same money. Okay, my cap rate is still probably going to be about 12%, maybe 14. 12 to 14 is the range. Okay, so that's cash, right? Now, what if I tag it to one of these first? Okay, so if I tag it to the life insurance first and I put $100,000 in a life insurance policy and then borrow against it, let me show you what this does for us on the math. So I put in 100. And this is going to grow at a 3 to 5% average rate. It's going to be for 5 years. So at the end of 5 years, my cash value has an additional 22,000 in it. Okay, this is my gross. There's, of course, interest and different things to factor in, but I'm just going to tell you what the cash value number will be. I put in 100, there's going to be an extra 22. So if I do this just with cash, I have 160. If I do this first and then this, I've got, what is that? 182. Okay, same exact deal. Only difference is I tagged it to my life insurance first. Now I've got an extra 22 grand in cash value. Okay, now if I do gold, gold is a little bit higher of a return, right? So if I put $100,000 into gold, that's going to be closer to historically like 8%, right? Gold at the end of 5 years has an additional 48,000. Okay, so if I have 160 and I have an additional 48, what does that mean? That puts me at 208, right? So on this one, I could either have 160 by doing directly into the deal, or I could have 208 by doing gold first. Okay, and then finally is tier 3. This is real estate. Most of the time, you're going to see real estate maybe in like a 5% annual appreciation range. So this will be closer to the life insurance and maybe a little bit more expensive, but I'll have an extra 28,000 here. Okay, so I do this deal 160. I have an extra 128 or an extra 28K in equity appreciating over 5 years. I've now got 188,000. Right? So this isn't like complicated. We're buying life insurance, borrowing against it, then doing the investment. Or we're buying gold, borrowing against it, then doing the investment. We were going to do the investment anyways, right? Or we have a home, we borrow against it and do the investment, right? So these are all, again, like I'll tell you guys, this took me years to figure out. Years and years and years. This allows me to double dip just like the banks do. When you go and put money in a bank, you deposit it just like you would deposit money into your life insurance policy. By the way, they go buy life insurance. Banks are the #1 owner and purchaser of life insurance in the country, right? But they go buy life insurance. And then what do? They're also loaning the money out. So they're taking your deposits, paying you minimal interest, and then loaning that money out, and they're double dipping it. They're loaning it out more than the dollars they actually have to back it. Okay. This allows us to do that same thing with our own money, right? So I can put money in life insurance, still have the life insurance there growing, and borrow against it and do a private lending deal and double dip. I can do that with gold. I can do that with real estate. Okay. Now this is great because it allows me to add more. As I get more and more deals, I can start doing more and more of this, gold, life insurance, real estate into one of these two types of options. And it just builds and builds and builds over time. And this is a strategy that's about as passive as it can get. This is all I do, guys. I don't do rental properties. Okay, I don't do crypto. I'm not a landlord. Like I don't get involved in other people's businesses. This is what I do. I have my company and then I do this. And I just continue doing that over and over and over. And it's the same old boring thing, but it works. Right? I'm not out there like one of the mistakes an investor can make is they get bored. And so they start just arbitrarily looking for whatever they can find for investments. Oh, I did that one already. I need to go find a new one. No. If you did that one already and it worked, you need to stick with it. Let me tell you what, finding an investment that works as promised, as intended, is nothing to be like, oh, that's not a big deal. Let me go find another one. No. Like that's a prized possession. When you do the deal and it works, you go back to that one and you keep doing the one that works. There's no reason to go look somewhere else. Okay, I don't do other deals. I'm telling you guys, I could. I have people approaching me and you wouldn't believe it, emails and all this stuff. And I know a bunch of people that I could do deals with, but I already have one that works. I'm not looking for new ones. It's not broken. Right? So these are things no one tells you until you do it. And then you're like, why did I do it differently? I lost money this time. I should have stuck with the same one. But it comes from, again, lack of information. Okay. And also lack of income. Guys, lack of income makes us do stupid things. Borrowing money, that's a stupid thing. Why would I do it? Because I don't have the income. Okay. Chasing returns on an investment that has high volatility, low track record, that's a stupid thing. Why would I do that? Because I lack income. Right? We're trying to solve a problem with an unusual solution. The problem, lack of income, is solved by just going and getting more income. Whether active or passive, it doesn't matter. Income is income, right? Like go get one of them or both, preferably both, right? So these are all things that I want to just share with you guys tonight. The final thing I want to cover before we wrap up and answer some questions is the idea of which one of these we do at different times. Okay, so I'm going to erase some of this stuff just to clear the board off a bit. Okay, so I have my 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, right? We talked about life insurance, gold, and real estate. Now I want to specify life insurance. There's a very specific kind of life insurance. It's called high early cash value dividend paying whole life insurance. None of the other kinds out there are a good idea for this. Okay, again, it doesn't matter what TikTok video you watched. At the end of the day, the banks aren't buying that stuff. They're buying one kind, that's high early cash value dividend paying whole life insurance. Okay, so that's what I want to make sure you know there. On gold, there's one kind of gold you should buy. Certified pure investment grade generic bullion. Okay, certified pure, meaning it's actually been inspected. It's pure bullion. It's investment grade. Usually that's 0.999 pure, and it's also generic. We're not paying for a brand name. I don't care what mint it came from. It all melts down to the same thing, right? Gold is gold is gold. So I'm going generic on it. Okay, that's the very specific type of gold you should get. Real estate. This is not multifamily, go put it in a syndicated apartment. No. This is if you own a home or a second home or a piece of land that has equity, it could even be a duplex or a fourplex or a single family rental, you can do a first position home equity line of credit. It's again a very specific kind. It's not just a HELOC, it's a first position home equity line of credit. What does first position means? It means we're replacing the mortgage. We're not going to have a mortgage anymore. We're only going to have a HELOC. So the home equity line of credit, it refinances out the mortgage, and then it gives you the ability to borrow against your equity, right? So it's a first position home equity line of credit. It's very specific kind. If I get another kind, it's not going to work the same. Okay, if I go and I buy, numismatic gold, meaning it's a collector's item, I'm like, hey, I want to borrow against it, it's not going to work the same. If I go and I buy universal life insurance, it's not going to work the same. Okay, this is why we're saying get the book. I wrote this so that you can read it and do it all by yourself, no help. Right? Now, if you want help, we're going to help you. But if you're one of those people who are like, I don't need Jerry, I don't need his team, fine, get the book, read it, do it yourself. At least I helped you through the book. That was the entire point. Okay, if you're like somebody like me, where I'm like, hey, I would like some guidance, I would like some help, some consultation, some coaching, some whatever, we're happy to do that too, right? But it starts with getting the information, okay? Because I can't tell you, like, there's people that will hear this stuff, they'll say, oh, life insurance, and then they'll go to their life insurance agent and say, sell me the life insurance I can borrow against. I saw it in a video once. And their life insurance agent, that's music to his ears, right? Like, I interviewed a life insurance agent this week, and he was like, okay, so when you sell a policy, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of info here. He's like, when you sell a life insurance policy, he's like, is it like it is with like a, universal life, was what he was mentioning. He's like, where you make, 120% of the commission on the premium, on the target premium. Target meaning what the client plans on putting in between base and paid up additions and whatnot. He's like, you make 120%, right? And I was like, no, because this is what people make. Right? Like, if your target is 10K, that's the target premium on a policy, they're going to make 120% of the 10,000. This is why your cash value is 0 the first year. It went to their paycheck. That's the only reason. Right? Now, what I told him, I was like, no, we make like, I think 6 times, maybe less than this to do a policy correctly. And all of a sudden, the guy's not interested anymore. He's like, oh, well, I could sell it here and I could make so much more money. Yeah, you're also screwing people over. I could screw people over too and make so much money doing it. Like, congratulations. That's not what we do here, right? But this is what when you go to an agent, you're like, oh, I want a cash value policy. This is what they're thinking. Excuse me. This is what they're thinking. They're like, I'm going to make so much money on this because I'm going to sell them this policy and it's going to be, and I'm make 120% on it. Okay. Same thing on gold. You go to a gold person, you say, hey, I want to borrow against my gold. Okay. What are they going to do? They're going to probably sell you numismatic stuff, meaning it's collector's item. You're literally paying for, a fancy little design on the coin. And then they're probably going to say, hey, you can't borrow against it. Or if they do, they're going to give you a really high interest rate loan, like a pawn shop. And they're going to charge you 15% interest to borrow against your gold, right? And they're only going to loan you like 60% of the value. Loan to value, 60% LTV, right? So this is, again, like, if I don't know the right things, I'm going to try and do this stuff and I'm going to get messed up doing it, right? If I go to any bank in the country and I just go to them and say, hey, I want to do a first position home equity line of credit, first thing they're going to do is they're going to say, well, we don't do that, right? Now, if you're like, no, like, I know you do, I've heard it's a thing, they're going to convince you this is a bad idea. You should get a conventional mortgage. And then if you really want it, you should get a second position home equity line of credit. Why? Because on a conventional mortgage, they're going to charge you closing costs, fees, admin, all sorts of stuff. It's going to be $10,000 or $15,000 by the time you're done with it. On a first position HELOC, usually it's free. Sometimes you might pay $500 or $1,000 to do it, right? Which one do you think the bank wants to sell? And then the same thing with the HELOC. On the second position, they can charge you a higher interest rate. They have more control over it. It's a smaller line. They can freeze it. There's all these things they can do that they're usually not going to do on a first position home equity line of credit. Not saying they can't, but they're not going to need to, right? They're going to make more money on you doing it this way. So it's important that you guys know this stuff, right? knowledge, financial literacy. Like it's something that we weren't taught. No one's ever going to teach it to us if we don't teach it to ourselves. And so I'm telling you, this is where it starts. So if you don't have a copy of the book, like do that now. Like don't wait. Don't think, oh, I'm going to do this later. No, do it now. If it matters to you, do it now. Anything that matters, take time out of the equation. Right. So you can go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. We will literally give you the book for free. You cover the shipping. You'll get a free coaching call with it. Right. If you're a client already, reach out to us and let us know, hey, what are you on right now? What's your next step? What do you need help with? How do we get you going faster? Right. So guys, I'm going to open this up for a little while. I want to answer questions. We will wrap up in a few minutes here. So if you have questions, post them in the chat. We will mic up and go live if you're on Zoom. And let me check Facebook first. All right, good to see everyone on Facebook. I don't see any questions here on Facebook, which is great. That's totally fine. Let's go over to Zoom next here. All right, good to see everyone. Good to see you, Ian or Ian. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. John, good to see you. Lawrence, good to see you. Lawrence said, Jerry, Nano and Rodrigo are truly committed. Very grateful for your inspiration. Thank you, Lawrence. So Nano and Rodrigo are two of our staff members, and they are amazing. And they are also very, very committed and inspirational themselves. Okay, we have a question. I want to leverage the money I make so I can eventually create enough passive income to live my life. That's more of a statement. Awesome. And I think that's where most people are. If people could get passive income and live life on their terms, that's what it's all about. Neil Ufar, good to see you on here. Okay, good. We have a good question from Andrew on writing off interest on a policy loan. Let me go ahead and bring Andrew on. All right, we're live here with Andrew Davis. How are you tonight, Andrew?
How's it going, Jerry?
I'm good. I'm good. What is your question?
Yeah, so basically, I guess you were talking about interest on a sacred account policy loan earlier, and I'm just wondering, I guess, so with that, can anybody do that, or is that like only if you have a business, or how does that work?
Yeah, so good question. So when you take out a policy loan, you're paying interest to borrow against the cash value. Now, if you're taking out the loan from the insurance company, ordinarily, that's not going to be tax deductible. Now, there's two circumstances where it is, right? So the first one would be, and actually I would say there's three. One of them is more of a sub-circumstance. If you're doing it for an investment, right, you can classify the interest as an investment expense and write it off that way. The other way to do it is if you're doing it for a business transaction, right? You can sometimes write that loan interest off as interest through the business. And then if you do a cash value line of credit with the bank, a lot of times they will actually issue the loan in the name of your business, your LLC. And so that makes it even easier to get the business interest deduction on the policy loan interest that you're being charged. But otherwise, if I just go and I take my policy loan and I'm like, I'm going to pay off a credit card and that's it, then I'm probably not going to get the tax deduction there. Obviously, I'm not a CPA. So if you are working with a CPA, consult with them on that for sure. And I know Andrew has a good tax team behind him. Okay, we have a question here from Jamie. Let me bring Jamie on live here. All right, let's see if we can mic up with Jamie on his question. All right, doesn't look like it. So I'll go ahead and read Jamie's question off. So Jamie asks, where do you hold your gold and silver to be able to borrow against it? What is the interest rate for borrowing against gold and silver? So when you borrow against gold and silver, it is going to go to the lender. Usually that's going to be a collateralized vault, right? So you're going to send it to the depository, the vault. They're going to keep it there. It is, insured. It is audited. It is allocated. They're not loaning out to other people. It just stays in storage while you borrow against it. So that's where it's going to go to. As far as rates are concerned, those are typically going to be variable. So right now, rates are usually around 6-7%, similar to what you're going to see on a home equity line of credit. The important thing to note is that when you borrow against gold, you're not going to not pay the loan back, whatever you borrow against it for income, you're always going to service your loan. You're going to pay yourself back. That pays the principal and interest down on the loan. So your net effective interest rate on a gold loan should be closer to like 4%. That's what we're seeing right now, as long as you do that correctly. Now, obviously, if you borrow, never pay yourself back. Yeah, you're going to pay 7%, and it's not going to be a great way to go, but you always should be paying yourself back. Jamie asks, how many life insurance policies do you have? Is one enough? I do have several. So you don't have to have more than one, right? So if it comes down to like your contributions, right? How much are you depositing into it? And then basically once you max one out, if you still got more funds, you can go open up another one, right? You can open up another one sometimes on yourself. You can insure a spouse, you can insure a business partner, a staff, an employee, whatever it might be. So there's no limit on how many you can have. It does come down to, though, do I have the money to fund? Do I need to be putting it somewhere? So I've experienced having many different policies with many different companies. Like I said at the beginning here, I'm more in the mindset now of finding what works and sticking with that, right? So I've since consolidated. I would rather have a couple policies with, one really good company and have really high contribution limits and all these things than having, 4, 5, 6 policies spread around the earth that I've got to go track out, different dividend rates, different policy loans, different administrative processes. Andrew asked about the 10% down payment for HELOCs in Virginia. I'm still waiting back on that answer, Andrew. I'll get that back to you. Brianna, didn't get my full PDF today, but put it all in my sacred account. And with my car, PFD today. Okay, so Alaska. Yeah, so in Alaska, they get permanent fund dividends today. So that's the money they get from the state from the oil leases that happen up there. So Brianna is saying she didn't get the full amount today, but she is putting what she did get into her sacred account, and she'll have her car paid off next week. That's awesome. Will be much less stressful paying back my loan to myself versus dealing with the dreaded bank. Amazing. That's what it's all about. Good job, Brianna. Ian says, very insightful information, taking notes. Yeah, awesome. I'm glad that has been helpful for you. So guys, I think that is all I see for questions. So what I want to do is, if you are watching this and you haven't reached out to become a client yet, last chance before we sign off, connect with Nano Aquino on my team. Go to jerryfetta.com/V2F promo to get the book. Again, you can get the book. It's free. You cover your shipping and handling. You also do get a free coaching call with that. You can reach out to Nano at nano@wealthdynamics.com. That is all we have for tonight. Thank you guys for watching. If you tune in Monday morning, Monday afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern time, Nano is doing a call on Monday. I think he's still on Liar's Poker. And so that's a book. That's a book he goes over every week. That's mainly for clients. If you're not a client, you'd like to jump on, that will be streaming on our Facebook page. You can also reach out to us on email and ask for access to that. Otherwise, have a great night. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time.